Hello, welcome to the Church360 Ledger webinar for church treasurers. Hi, my name is Rod Kiles and I am the Customer Onboarding Specialist for Concordia Technology Solutions. You can reach me one of two ways. You can reach me via email at rod.kiles@cph.org, or you can reach me by phone at 314-268-1315. I kindly ask that you mute your phones or microphones and type any questions you may have into the question window. I will answer all of those questions at the end of class in the order that they are received. So let's go ahead and go to our next slide, class overview. This class is going to be broken into basically about 4 parts. So we'll go through the class overview here, and so we'll go through the first few slides here of the PowerPoint presentation. Then we'll have a short section of several slides where we talk about basic accounting principles. From there, we'll jump into the program and we will work through each one of those features in the software. Then at the tail end, number 4, we'll go through the question and answer session. So any questions that you have about the product, I'll be more than willing to help, to answer. So we're going to start out with basic accounting principles. We'll go through some of the things that are true about Church360 Ledger there. Then we'll discuss we'll actually jump into the program and we'll discuss account types. And then we'll go through church financial records, where we'll go through books. We'll discuss fiscal years and how to set those up and how to manage those. We'll go through chart of accounts, where we will implement our account types, and we'll actually talk about the account types when we're creating our chart of accounts. We'll discuss restricted funds and how those are used. Those are going to be part of our asset account, so we will discuss those. We'll discuss how to enter in your budgets and how to view those with your statement of income and expense report. Then we'll discuss users, which will be permission groups and users. So every single user of the software will be tied to a permission group, and we'll show you how to set those up and create those. Then we'll have reports. So once we're done with the reports, we'll have our question and answer session, and we'll be done. So the webinar does last about 30 minutes, so that's the plan. It may run a little bit long, but I'm going to do my best to stick to 30 minutes there. So let's go to our next slide. If you guys are ready, let's get started. So basic accounting principles. When it comes to Church360 Ledger, it is fund-based accounting. So each book is going to be a separate accounting entity with its own assets, liabilities, income, and expense account. So there's 4 different account types: assets, liabilities, income, and expense. And those are all going to be inside of a set of books. And the other one that is inside the product is the restricted funds, and that's going to be part of your assets. One thing to note about fund accounting: anytime you have a transfer between books, you should consider that a loan, and that is something that has to be paid back. So if you transfer money from one book to another via journal entry, you'll want to put that back. If not, the expenses on one side will be higher than you expect, and the income on the other side will be lower. Church360 Ledger does work on cash accounting, so congregations usually work on a cash basis. That means that when income is recorded, and income will be recorded and recognized when the money is received, and expenses are going to be recorded and recognized when the money is spent. So as soon as that money comes in, you'll enter in a deposit that's going to apply directly to your books and show up on your reports. And whenever you write your check or do your electronic payments, the expenses are going to be recorded and recognized on your books immediately as well. So it's not accrual accounting. You can't apply things now and then have it show up now and then wait for the money to arrive, or plan those expenses now, then have them show up on your reports and say that that's going to happen. So this is instantaneous. As soon as you put it in, it's going to apply to your balances and your reports will be accurate. Benefits of cash accounting are: it's easier to track money coming in and going out. It's going to be easier to explain to the congregation and your church council exactly where you are when it comes to the balances. And this is going to be safer, since you won't run into cash flow problems when several accounts come due all at once. So those are the basic accounting principles for Church360 Ledger. Let's switch over to our software. So everyone will have a Church360 Ledger account, and the landing page will look just like this. So whenever you log in, you'll see this screen. The only difference will be your subdomain. So the one that I'm going to is our demo site. It's demo.360ledger.com. And I'm going to go ahead and log in. Each person who accesses the software should have their own login. And each login will determine which type of rights the person will have within the software. So I'm going to log in with Pastor Kent Williams here. Down below the login, there's a Remember Me button. And what that allows you to do is whenever you log into the site, you'll actually stay logged in until you log out or until you delete the cookie. So that will keep you logged in and you won't accidentally get logged out. If you're going to be leaving the computer for any extended period of time, you want to make sure to log out so someone can't just come back behind you, sit down and start using the software or view the records or create checks or anything like that. There is also a forgot password link, so if you can't remember your password, you can click on that, and that will bring up a window that allows you to key in your email address and send yourself a password reset email. And if you do not receive those unlock instructions from the password reset email, you can have that resent to you. So I'm going to go ahead and click sign in, which will allow me to sign into the software. Type my password one more time. And once you log in, you will always land on the transactions view. There will be a menu bar across the top. The orange button allows you to come back to this transaction view. That's kind of like your home button. Then to the right of that will be your books. And right now we just have one book, but we're going to show how to add a book here in just a second. To the right-hand side of these two items, you'll see the feed icon, and the feed icon allows you to see transactions that are being pushed over from Church360 members. So when you enter your offerings into Church360 members, it will automatically create a deposit, and that deposit is pushed over to Church360 Ledger. So these two products are integrated together. Entering in your offerings in Church360 members will create a deposit in Church360 Ledger, and then you can just link those two together. Also, you'll notice that you have the option to see recurrent transactions as well. So when you have a pending transaction, there'll be a little red dot here next to the feed icon. To the right of the feed icon is your print checks icon. That allows you to print your checks, and there'll be a little number at the upper right-hand corner to tell you the number of checks. Next is the cog or gear, and that allows you to see your secondary items. So accounts help you with transactions, and budgets help you manage your transactions. And there's also fiscal years and recurrent transactions. And then the second part of that are going to be your settings that help you set up your site. To the right of the cog or gear is the reports icon, and that will list all your reports. Next is the your avatar. That's going to give you access to your user settings and to log out. What a gravatar is it's an icon or a picture that follows you around the web. So whenever you log in or you go to create comments, if you use your gravatar login, your picture will show up. So it's a way to let other people see who you are. So it's kind of a tracker. And then to the right of that is a help icon, which will open up the help system. So let's go ahead and let's create a book. So to create a book, what you'll do is you'll click the cog here at the top, and you'll go down to books, and you'll click add a new one. So I'm going to add in preschool since we already have a general fund or a general book here. Once you type in the name of the book, then on the right hand side you'll select a month, and that month is going to be the month that the the month that your fiscal year starts on. So if your fiscal year, it's a calendar year, you would select January, and if your fiscal year starts in May or something like that, you would select May. So this is going to be the month for the start of your fiscal year. Once you enter in the name and select the month, you'll click Submit, and your book will be created. Then you'll go up here to the top and click General and select your book, and then that will switch you over to your book. You'll notice across the top there's a banner that says to begin entering transactions, confirm your account beginning balances. So you do have to confirm those balances first. Once you have your book in place, what you'll do is you'll click fiscal years, and from there you'll be able to see your fiscal year, and if you want to change the starting month for the fiscal year, you can select it from here. You can also open and unlock previous fiscal years if you'd like. Once we have the book in place, we'll go to Accounts, and this will allow us to enter in our accounts. So since it's a brand new book, we don't have any accounts. We can start by adding a new account. We'll want to add the bank account first, so I'm going to click New Account, and I'm going to say Central Trust Checking. If there's an account number, I can fill that in. I can also create my own custom account numbers. I've seen people who they'll start all their asset accounts with number 1 and liabilities with 2, then they'll have income as 5 and expenses 6. So you can start them all with the same number, all the similar account types, and create your own numbering system if you'd like, or you can go without a numbering system. From there, since this is a checking account, I will click the box that says can write checks for this account, and then I can enter in a beginning balance. And you're going to want to make sure to enter in the beginning balance for the start of your books or the start of your fiscal year, just depending on where you're starting at. So since this is a brand new book and we still have to confirm balances, we want to make sure that those match. And we want to make sure that we're picking the balance for the first day, because once you confirm your balances, you won't be able to go back and enter transactions prior to that date. So we need to subtract those transactions out of this beginning balance and make sure that that balance is on the correct date. So I'm just going to pick a number of 10,000 and click Submit. So that allows me to add in the account. If you'd like, you can also add in a category or a grouping. So let's say that we want this to be checking accounts, and this will be our grouping. So I'll say checking accounts and click Submit. And you'll notice the difference between the two. There's a little like teal bar or darkish green bar here on the left-hand side. That's going to signify that this is a group. And when it's missing, then it's actually just an account. So what I'll do is I'll drag the account down below the group, and it'll allow me to put that account into the group. Notice how it's indented just a little bit. That's also a signal that this account is part of that group. If I make a mistake on the name, like I did, Central Checking, I can click on the line, and it does have inline editing, so I can now rename it to Central Trust Checking and click Submit. Once I've entered in my account, what I'm going to want to do is click Save Changes. To save my changes, if I don't save my changes, they can be lost, so I do want to save my changes. It'll give me a review of the changes that I've made, so one new category and one new account. Then I can click Confirm, and it'll just confirm those accounts. Next, I can click on Add a Restricted Fund, and a restricted fund is going to be money that is reserved for a specific purpose. This is not going to be an account that you can apply a budget to, but it will be part of your assets. Once you enter in your restricted funds, you will need to do a journal entry to transfer money from your unrestricted funds into restricted funds. So let's say that our restricted fund is just going to be a building fund. We'd click Submit. You'll notice that there's currently a zero balance on the building fund. To be able to get the balance in there, we'll simply do a journal entry. One thing to note about the restricted funds, these balances do carry over from year to year, and like I mentioned before, the balances here are part of your asset accounts. So when it comes to asset accounts, there are two types of asset accounts. There are current asset accounts and fixed asset accounts. So when you're dealing with your asset accounts, the current assets are going to be money in your checking accounts and savings accounts. They can also be certificates of deposits and stocks. And if you enter in your fixed assets, those are going to be building, land, and equipment. So after we add in our asset accounts, next we can add in liability accounts. So I'll click liability here on the left-hand side. You'll notice how the triangle turns from pointing to the right to actually facing down. So that means I'm actually going to be able to see my liability accounts now. So I'm going to add a new category. And the account that I want to add in is Ford Credit. So we'll act like we have a loan here. So my category will be loan. So I'll click submit. Then I'll click new account. And I'm going to name the account Ford Credit. If there's an account number, I'll key in the account number, and if there's a beginning balance, say we owe $25,000 still on the loan for our church van, I would type in the balance and I would click submit. Then I'll take a look at this and I'll see whether or not it's part of the category, and since it isn't indented, I know it's not, so I'll grab it and I'll pull it over to the right and up just a little bit. And when I see the little red arrow, that's going to point to let me know that it's now part of the group. Once I've added in the liability account, I'll click Save Changes. It'll let me confirm those changes, and then those changes will actually be saved. The next account type is going to be income account. And for an income account, I can go ahead and click New Categories. Income accounts are going to be accounts that you use to record revenue received during the current fiscal year. Unlike liability accounts and asset accounts, you can budget these accounts. So here, once we get done adding the accounts, I'll show you how to add in budgets. These type of accounts will be your offerings, interest earned on bank accounts, and rental property. And another neat thing about income accounts, which will be the same as expense accounts, is that these accounts do zero out at the end of the year. So the balance will continue to build up all through the year. And then once the year end occurs, the balance will go to zero and start building again. So let's go ahead and add in our category, and let's say that it's offerings, and we'll click submit. Then we can add the new account and say that the new account is going to be preschool fund. And since we're in the preschool book, we'll say that people will give to the preschool fund, and this will help fund our preschool here at our church. So we'll click submit. You'll notice that there's not a balance and not a place for a beginning balance because the money's actually going to come in through deposits. We'll go ahead and drag and move up just a little bit to attach that account to the category. Then we'll click Save Changes. We'll click Confirm. And there's one more account type to take a look at. The final account type is going to be expense. And our expense accounts are going to be the type of accounts that record how the money from the church is spent. These also are budgeted accounts. Examples of these accounts are going to be salary, materials for church programs, office supplies, postage, and utilities. And in addition, these do zero out at the end of the year as well. So let's go ahead and add our category and say that our category is going to be salary. Then we can click submit, and every church is going to need to pay the employees there. So, and then when we add our new account, let's call it staff salary. We can put in an account number if we have one, and we can click submit. And let's go ahead and let's add one more account, and let's say that it's manager salary. Then click submit. So we'll have two accounts here in our expense. And usually the list of expense accounts is the longest list of accounts inside your Church360 Ledger chart of accounts. So we'll move over and pull up just a little bit to put our staff salary inside of our salary category, and we'll do the same. We'll pull over to the right and pull up just a little bit, and attach the manager's salary to the salary category as well. You can have more than one category, and you can have more than one level of categories. So you can be 3 levels down on categories if you'd like. So what we'll do is we will save changes, then we'll click on confirm to confirm our changes. And once we have all of our accounts entered into the system, then the next thing we would do is we would confirm our balances. So what we would do is we would go up to our banner and click confirm balances. And confirming balances is something that you do just once. You want to make sure to set the correct balance as of date. So if it's the first of the year, you would select 01/01/2015. Or if you're starting at a certain bank statement, you would enter in the date on that bank statement. So I'm going to select January 1, 2015. And please note that once you confirm your balances, it's kind of a one-way door. You can't go back and reconfirm them, and you can't go back and enter in transactions prior to the date that you enter here. You would have to use a journal entry to enter in a correction at that point. So we do have our assets and liabilities in here, and now we'll click the confirm button, and our beginning balances are now confirmed. Once the beginning balances are confirmed, you can go back and make changes to your beginning balances until you write your first check on that account. Once you write that first check, everything is locked into place. So, okay. So once we have our accounts in place, the next thing we'll want to do is enter in budgets. To access our budgets, we'll click the cog here at the top, and we'll click budgets. Right here, budgets. And then that will take us to our budget entry screen. Then what you'll do is you'll type in the budget for the account. The offerings is going to be a category, and you won't type in numbers there, but when you do type in your dollar amounts in your budget line item, in your account line item, those will total and move up into your category. So let's say for the preschool fund, we expect to receive $2,500 every single month. And you would type in that amount, then you would go to the next field to the right of that and type in the amount that you expect to receive the next month. Currently, there is not a way to take the total amount and divide it by 12, but that is a feature that we do have on the list and plan on implementing in the future. So you would keep continuing, and usually I'll just press tab, and then that will move me to the cell to the right. And once I type in the number, it'll continue to move and scroll for me. Then down at the bottom for salary, I could do the same. There is the option to use the previous year's budget or previous year's actual if you have information in there for more than 1 year. You can also go up to the top and select the same items as well. Once you have your budget into the system, you'll want to make sure to click Save Changes so your entries aren't lost. And from there, you can export that information to Excel, and you can select previous fiscal years if you have previous fiscal years in the system. Once the budgets are entered, they will show up on your statement of income and expense, and that report will show you a comparison of your income accounts versus your expense accounts and how you are doing towards the budgets that you have entered in the system. So let me enter in staff salary and say that staff salary is $4,000 for each month. And then manager's salary, say that's $5,000. And then you would continue to enter those in. So once you have your budgets in the system, the next thing you would want to do is view your reports. And let me switch back to our general fund for our reports since there's more information in there. Okay. And to access your reports, you would go to the reports icon here in the menu bar, and you'd click on the report that you wanted to view. So let's take a look at the income and expense first. And the statement of income and expense will allow you to see how your income is doing versus how much you're spending. Across the top, there will be across the top there will be a print icon where you can print this report. that will take you to a new tab and load your print view. From there you can click print and print the report. You can also, let's close the print view. You can also change the date range, so you can select a year, a quarter, a month, or you can enter in the range for the information that you want. So if I wanted January, I would just click January. Also on the left-hand side, I can narrow down the amount of information that I show on my report. So you can see how there are groupings here. There's income, offerings, then there's inside of offerings, there's fund, education, ministry. If I just wanted to see a certain level of category, I can collapse these categories. Then when I show the report, I would just show the category level, and then everything will total up to that category level. From there, I can either print or export to Excel. So now that I've collapsed these levels, let me go ahead and just export to Excel so that everybody can see the exported information. Okay. So let me make sure everybody can see me. Okay, so now that it's completed exporting, I will double click on my download here, and my screen should switch over to Excel. Once it comes up, I'll click Enable Editing, and from here I can manipulate the report if I'd like. If you see the series of pound signs or hashtags going left to right, you will need to spread out that column. So you can click on the little line between E and F, or between whichever two columns, and spread them out. And you'll notice that it's totaled by category, and down at the bottom of the report is your income less expense. So you can see how you're doing towards those budgets and if you're spending more than you're bringing in. Let me go ahead and close the income and expense spreadsheet. I'm going to say don't save. And that's the statement of income and expense. It will show budgets versus actual for a month, then or for your time frame. Then it'll show your percent of budget and the amount remaining. The next report to take a look at is the chart of accounts report. The chart of accounts report and the balance sheet report are very similar. The difference between the two is the balance sheet report will show the assets less liabilities. So it's going to show you your fund balance and show you how you're doing overall as a church. So on the chart of accounts report, you can collapse your categories just like you could on the statement of income and expense. It'll show your starting balance, your ending balance. It'll also show your debits versus credits, your change, and it'll show your percentage of change as well. Let's take a look at the balance sheet report. And the reports are going to look exactly the same, but when you scroll to the bottom of the balance sheet report, you'll have assets, liabilities. So it looks like we're in the green here, and we've been increasing. So that's a good sign. With both of these reports, you can export them to Excel, and you can print them out. The last report to take a look at is the event log. And the event log is going to record everything that is done inside the software. It will have a timestamp. You can filter by action, type, or user, and then it'll also show a message which will include information about a transaction if a transaction is printed or created or modified or changed. So with a report like this, you can find out who created what in the software. So you could say, you could click on all to unselect all of our filter options, then click created, and then you could select user if you had multiple users. So then from there, you could simply see who created what inside the software, and you could print or export it. The event log is just to help you keep track of the changes that are made within the software. And if you want to review them, you can review them to follow up on possible problems. Okay. When it comes to having your event log and seeing your users, you will want to specify what users have which permissions within the software. So to access your permissions, you'll click on the cog or gear here in the menu bar, and you'll click on permissions down at the bottom. And every single user that is inside of Church360 Ledger will have a permission group, and the permission group is going to dictate what that user is allowed to do. To create a new permission group, you'll click Add a New One down at the bottom. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and all of the permissions will be grouped into 3 little sections. You'll start by entering in the name, and I'm going to call mine Test. Then from there, you can say what this person is allowed to manage. They can manage the tenant, which means that they'll have rights to make changes to all the permissions and everything within the software. You can say they can manage chart of accounts, which means that they can add, edit, delete, or deactivate accounts. You can give them the right to print checks. When it comes to transactions, you can say that they can create deposits, checks, payments, journals, and or transfers, and you can also give them the right to edit transactions. And when it comes to your accounts, you can say can see all accounts, or you can say can see a subset of accounts. So let's say that this person is not an administrator or not a high-ranking official there at the church. They're not on the board or anything. They're just like a minister who just needs to see a certain set of accounts. So I'm going to call this one Test and say can see a subset of accounts, and I'm going to click Submit. That will create our test permission group. Then I'll go up to the left-hand side and click on Users. And once I click Users, this is where I can add in a user. So once I get to the screen, I'll click Add a New One. And one practice that I suggest to all customers is if you're going to be giving someone rights to the software, you may want to actually have a test users group and use one of your secondary email addresses to be able to test what each user is going to actually see when they log into the software. So that's one of the best practices for administrators. So let's say that Jack Wilson is going to be the minister who's looking at just a certain group of accounts. So for permission groups, we would select the permission group that we want Jack Wilson to be able to access. We'll say Test, and then we can select the accounts that we want him to be able to see. And let's say that he's only going to be able to see ministry group and music ministry. Then from there, we would click Submit. And once we click Submit, you'll notice up here in the top in our little banner, it'll say the user was created and has been notified via email. So an email will be sent to this person. When that person receives the email, they will click on the link. Clicking on the link will take them to 360 Ledger where they can create their login information and log into the software. One other thing to note about users, you see the little exclamation point here. This user has not been set up to access any accounts. So that's what the exclamation point is saying. So you'll notice when we open up the inline editing, account access is empty. So I'm going to close this. You do have the option to delete this user and resend the invitation, but that's just a warning message to let you know that when this person logs in, they're not going to be able to see any accounts. Okay, let me switch back to the PowerPoint presentation. And let's go ahead and enter the question and answer session. If you have any questions on this material or any questions about Ledger, I'm more than willing to answer those. You can post those in the question box on the left-hand side. I do want to thank everybody for attending. We hope you enjoyed this class, and I will hang on for a few minutes here. If you have any questions, I'll definitely answer that. But after I sign off, if there are any questions, you can contact us at 1-800-346-6120, and you can also shoot us an email at support@cts.cph.org.